The Avengers Doomsday first teaser trailer is here. One of four we've been hearing, and this teaser has already gotten more likes than the Avengers Infinity War trailer got on X. So, whether or not you agree with Captain America returning, specifically Steve Rogers' Captain America returning, people do seem to like it or are at least very excited for Avengers Doomsday. Now, we're going to break down everything you need to know about this trailer, including a lot of reports that explain why Captain America, Steve Rogers, is returning and why Doctor Doom is specifically after him and other people in this movie, in this upcoming Avengers movie, which is so great to say. We finally have our first trailer. Let me know what you thought about it, and please let me know what you think specifically about Steve Rogers returning, Chris Evans returning. The Russo brothers, in their post on Instagram, when they posted the trailer, said that it was always going to come back to this. I don't know about that. Maybe that was always their plan, but we know that Marvel Studios went through a bit of a rough patch with Phase 4 and Phase 5, basically after Endgame. It looked like they had one plan, and then that plan kind of got derailed with Kang and Jonathan Majors. Plus, they were forced to do a lot of projects because of Disney Plus. They were kind of at their limit. So I don't know if it was always really supposed to come back to this point, but it does seem like the Russo brothers have it all mapped out, and Avengers Doomsday is going to be truly awesome. Now, we do know that two of the main characters are going to be Robert Downey Jr.'s Doctor Doom and Chris Evans's Captain America. That is why we are getting the first teaser for Chris Evans. They are showing us, hey, he's going to be one of the main characters of the movie. He is going to be incredibly important. So what they're showing us here in this trailer is basically what happened right after Endgame. Plus, I would assume at least a year into the future, maybe even more, and I'll explain what I mean here. In this trailer, we see Steve Rogers riding back to Peggy Carter's house on his Triumph motorcycle. Steve Rogers loves motorcycles. That's been established in the comics and in the MCU. Now, it has been pointed out by some people online that this specific model of Triumph, the engine wasn't actually made until kind of 2008, 2009. This might be a different scene, but it is an alternate universe, which the Russo brothers have confirmed. I know the writers for Infinity War and Endgame, Christopher Marcus and Stephen McFeely, said that they believe that Steve has always been in the main MCU timeline, but the Russo brothers said otherwise. So as far as we're concerned, Steve has not been in the main MCU timeline 616 this entire time in the background. He should be in a new, completely different timeline, and we'll get to that a little bit more in just a bit. But he shows up in true Captain America form. I assume this is the first time that he actually goes back in time. He returns all of the Infinity Stones and decides, you know what? I want to see Peggy again. And then probably from there decides, you know what? I'm staying. So this is him walking up to Peggy's house. And I had to really stop and examine the frames here because I thought this might have been Doctor Doom walking up to the house. It does by all means seem to be Captain America, Steve Rogers. Now, here's an interesting scene though. When he goes into the house, the next scene that we see, well, we see him walking up to the house, and the next thing we see is him actually putting away his Captain America uniform. I know some people have said he's not putting it away, he's taking it out, but if you look very closely and you freeze it, you can actually see that his clothes are on kind of a shelf or a bench here. You can see the helmet in the background as well. He's actually picking them up and putting them in the box. As you can see, he's not taking them out of the box here. We can see the edge of the box. He's putting it in the box. So this part right here is him kind of retiring that Captain America in this universe, which makes you wonder, did he actually do things in this universe? Did he show up to this universe and just be Captain America in this universe? Because you have to think about it, he knows a lot. Would he do things like prevent Thanos from snapping half of the universe away? If he didn't prevent Thanos from doing that and those events occurred the same, did he get snapped in this universe? It's also way forward in time, so I don't actually think you have to worry about things like that. But we do have that bench scene from Captain America where he is Old Man Cap and he's lived through everything. So did he stop Thanos, or did he give somebody hints to stop Thanos? Did he help Bucky in the beginning? We have to wonder what he did, but it does seem like he did some things as Captain America, and now he's retiring the suit. He is retiring himself as Captain America to be a father, which is the next scene that we see. This is very important for many reasons. One, it shows us that Cap does kind of get a happy ending. Now, we don't know what he has to go through to get that happy ending, because some people say that, well, I don't like Steve Rogers returning because this erases his happy ending. Well, we don't really know what he went through after he went back. He could have went through a lot of stuff, and we're just going to see him do all of that stuff. One of the biggest questions I have is Old Man Cap at the end of Avengers Endgame a Captain America who has already been through Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars? If everything kind of stays intact, then you would have to say yes. He is simply giving Captain America's shield to Sam, but he got the shield from Sam by going back to do Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars. It's kind of a paradox here, but based on what Marvel has said, that would have to be the case. This Captain America has been through Avengers Doomsday and been through Avengers Secret Wars, but here's the issue. By all means, we believe and seem to know that Avengers Doomsday is going to end with the destruction of the multiverse. Marvel has been setting this up in many different projects. They have specifically explained to us what incursions are. They have explained that if you go into a different universe, it leaves a bad footprint and it destabilizes and confuses that universe until the point an incursion is caused. And what an incursion is, for those who don't know, is where two universes collide into each other, Earths being the focal point, so the two Earths collide into each other. And we also know that they're adapting the Time Runs Out story for this movie, where it's all about incursions, where at the end, when you get into Secret Wars, there's only a handful of universes left, and they all die. The entire multiverse gets destroyed. Dr. Doom ends up saving one thing, and that is a world he creates, which is called Battleworld. It consists of about over 30 different universes mashed into one, which is why we're going to get a lot of variants in this movie, Doomsday and Secret Wars, which I am really excited about. But speaking of incursions, they are really, really important, and they're showing Steve Rogers with his baby, and I believe this was kind of a no-no for Captain America. You see, at the end of Endgame, he was supposed to return the stones and then come back. That was supposed to cause no problems, but he chose to stay back in time. He chose to be with Peggy. Now he has a child that is a child from two different universes. If you think about it, Steve Rogers is from the main 616 timeline, and wherever he's at here, it creates a new timeline. It is not the same. So technically now we have him from one universe, one timeline, and Peggy from a different one. And their baby is kind of the DNA of both. We have to wonder what that would do to a universe. Would that confuse and destabilize a universe? Would Captain America simply going back in time cause an incursion? Well, according to reports that we have heard, yes. We don't know the exact cause. It most likely is Captain America staying back in time. That probably was something he wasn't supposed to do, and this ended up causing an incursion. And according to reports from insiders, this incursion directly affected Dr. Doom and his family. There's going to be a big theme of parenthood and fatherhood in Avengers Doomsday, as you can see here from the very first trailer. We've heard that the Thor trailer is going to be the second one, and he is praying to Odin to help him basically make it out alive so he can be with his daughter, Love. We also have other characters that have children who are going to be very important in Avengers Doomsday, like Sue Storm and Reed Richards. They have Franklin Richards, their son, who is immensely powerful, as we saw from the Fantastic Four First Steps, but also as we saw from the post-credit scene, Dr. Doom is seemingly going to take Franklin. So again, children seem to be a very big focal point here, and there is a cool theory that Dr. Doom is after the kids, but we'll get to that in just a bit. So Captain America seemingly caused an incursion that might have killed Dr. Doom's family, and that is why specifically Doom is after Steve Rogers, and that's where I think Loki comes in, because if Doom goes after Steve, what is Steve really going to do? We have to ask ourselves. Can Steve Rogers handle Dr. Doom? The answer would be no, especially if he is a fully powered Dr. Doom with tech and magic. He shouldn't really stand that much of a chance against him. Now, Peggy could get the drop on him and shoot him, but we would assume his armor would be protective against bullets. That's where I think Loki comes in. I actually think Loki tells Steve about Doom before Doom even shows up. That way Steve is prepared, and that way maybe Loki can come back and save him. I don't think Steve would trust Loki maybe at first, but Loki would explain everything, possibly take him to the TVA and say, look, you weren't supposed to go back in time. This caused a bunch of events to happen. This is what's happening now. This guy named Dr. Doom, looks like Tony. It's not Tony. He is after you. And so now, basically, it's the threat of the entire multiverse being destroyed that is at stake here. I need your help. Steve is going to want to be with his son or daughter. We're actually not sure at this point in time. But once the threat of the entire multiverse being destroyed really hits Steve, then of course he's going to say, okay, well, I have to join this fight, because if there's nothing left, then I die, Peggy dies, my child dies. So obviously he would join the fight. But I don't think he would trust Loki at first. So I actually think Loki shows up first, warns him about Doom. Doom shows up, and perhaps Loki takes him to the TVA, and perhaps a multiversal Avengers team is formed with Steve Rogers at the head. Or Loki could simply take him to the 616 universe in the current time, where he can meet back up with Sam Wilson and the other Avengers. Now, one thing I will say is we know there's going to be 4 trailers, but we've recently heard from Cryptic HD Quality, a reliable insider, that the third one might actually be an X-Men one and not a Doctor Doom one. And then the fourth one would be the big full-out trailer. I'm all here for it, because I really do want to see an X-Men trailer for Doomsday, because that is maybe one of the things it's definitely one of the things I'm most excited for, but maybe it's the thing that I am the most excited for. So it seems like Dr. Doom is specifically after Steve Rogers because he caused an incursion that possibly caused his universe to be destroyed and his family killed. We've heard that he actually had a wife and a son or a daughter. It's actually said that it might have been a variant of Franklin Richards and Sue Storm that he was married to, and Franklin was his kid in his universe, but they died. Also, at the same time, the threat of the multiverse being destroyed is real, and we do believe that Avengers Doomsday is going to pretty much end like Avengers Infinity War did, with the Avengers losing and Doctor Doom winning. But he saves something. The multiverse gets destroyed, but he saves Battleworld, which again is a combination of a lot of different universes put together, and that's where we go into Avengers Secret Wars, and that movie is probably just going to be absolutely insane. We've heard we're actually going to see the perspective of other universes being destroyed in Doomsday by seeing other characters like Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. That's obviously not confirmed at this point in time, but it's been reported by reliable insiders, so it's a good chance that that is going to happen. Now, there is a really cool theory that I'll mention, and that is that Dr. Doom is actually collecting children, because these are obviously very powerful children. So he's got Franklin Richards, which, yeah, Franklin has the ability to create universes in the comics. Actually, after Secret Wars in the comics, where the multiverse is destroyed, Franklin, with the help of some other people, actually rebuilds the entire multiverse. He creates universes, and with the help of his father, with the power of the Beyonders and Molecule Man, they start to rebuild the entire multiverse. So you could see how Dr. Doom would want Franklin. You could also see how he could want people like the Scarlet Witch's children, because we've obviously seen how strong Wiccan is. And Captain America's child, it could be about revenge, but he could also be using him for something very specific. And the same thing goes for the Hulk's child. He's obviously going to be very powerful as well. And Love, Thor's daughter, she was created by Eternity, and she has some of the powers of Eternity. Obviously, she would be very, I would say, useful to Dr. Doom. The question is, why would he be collecting all of these children? Well, perhaps he needs them and their powers to create kind of the perfect universe that he wants. We've actually heard a lot of Dr. Doom knowing about Kang, knowing what he did, and hating the fact that he built the TVA and kind of altered the main timeline. Doom wanted to seek revenge on Kang, and I bet you he probably gets it, and then kind of seeks two things. One, control over everything, which would mean him going against Loki and taking over the TVA for himself. And then two, revenge. Revenge on Steve Rogers for causing an incursion that destroyed his universe and destroyed his family and probably took everything away from him and probably gave him the scar, I would assume. There's a lot of cool theories out there about it. Let me know your favorite one, and just let me know what you think about this awesome trailer. It very much is a teaser, but it brings back all of the nostalgia that we felt before with Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame for me, and it's awesome to see Steve Rogers back. So let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the latest Avengers Doomsday videos, and you can also find us on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and Snapchat. And as always, thank you all so much for watching. Woof woof.